In this session, we're going to take a look at GeoGebra's system files. Those are the files we'd find at the top of the window when virtually anything is open. This recording is being made on a Macintosh System 10.5. It would look very much the same on earlier System 10 files, and it looks somewhat similar, at least in a Windows PC. Under the File menu itself, we're going to find several options, but before we open that up, let's note that the window in front of us is the default window. That's the way it would look if you simply opened up a brand new GeoGebra file. That's what you would expect to see. Under the File menu, if we choose New Window, that's exactly what we will get. This window looks just like the one that was there a moment ago because it's in the default setting right now. So I'll go back to my original window. What if, however, I had a window that I had spent some time customizing and I wanted to keep that? For example, here's a window that I've created in advance. My axes are red. I have a grid in place. I have compressed the algebra window so that it's hardly visible, and most of my viewing area is taken up now by the drawing window or the geometry window. If I wanted to continue a new file keeping these same settings, I can do so. Under the File menu, I would simply choose New. Now that brings up a new window. However, it does not bring up the default window. It keeps the same settings that I had just created. My grid is still here, my red axis is still here, my algebra window is still compressed. If I had chosen instead to go with the new window, I would have gotten the default window in its place. The Open menu is basically the same as what you would find for any program. This is simply the place where you can navigate to a particular file to open it. Similarly, the Save file, or the Save menu option, does basically the same thing in all programs, and that is, it gives you the opportunity to save it with a name and to save it into a particular place. Desktop, your user folder, some particular folder, or even a thumb drive or some other place where you want to store that file. Save as with all other programs, allows you to save the file but to change its name or change its location. Print Preview looks a little different in GeoGebra than it does in some other applications. It comes up first with a Print Preview itself. Right now it's at a 75% setting. I can change that to 100% or larger. Notice that I have already entered my name in. I can enter a title. Not terribly creative, but there's a title. Notice that those show up on my screen as well. The date shows up. I can even change the orientation between portrait and landscape. Probably the most important thing here is that this information stays with your file. Once you close out of this, save your file, this information will stay there and will come up in the future. So it allows you to record a little bit more information than you would have been able to do in a standard print preview. Export is perhaps the most powerful part that is different within GeoGebra than in other programs. Export here has a number of options. The first one is a dynamic worksheet. The dynamic worksheet allows you to save your file as an HTML file, allowing you to then put it into a web page or a document that you're going to circulate on the web. It allows your GeoGebra creation to work interactively without actually having the GeoGebra program open at the time it's being used, because it works as a Java applet. This is complicated enough to warrant its own separate tutorial session, and so we will not actually try to cover that here. That will be in a separate session. The next thing we have under export is exporting to things such as portable network graphics or PNG files, portable document format PDF with which pretty much everyone should be familiar, EPS files, scalable vector graphics, and enhanced meta format. Let's choose a portable network graphics, and actually I've already done that. It's set at 72 dpi. There are other options we have. Let's take a look at what happens. I'm going to call up my previously saved file. Okay, there's what we have. This is saved at 72 dpi, or 72 dots per inch, and it looks fine right here. However, because we only saved it at 72, if we zoom in, we very quickly see that this particular file deteriorates. Pixelation happens, and if we wanted to put it into a document where we wanted to increase its size, for example, if it was going into a PowerPoint and we wanted to be able to zoom in as part of that PowerPoint, 72 would probably not provide the amount of resolution that we really need. What if we were to do it at 300? Again, I'll call up a previously saved file of this same document. Now this looks very similar, even though the window's larger, but in this case, if I start zooming in, I have to go quite a ways. I'm starting to see pixelation here, and it will eventually pixelate, but the higher you set this, the less the pixelation's going to occur. You'll have to get very large to make that pixelation get in your way. If you are planning to export to something like a program where you want to create a poster, then you would certainly want to keep this particular thing in mind to make sure you have enough resolution to support the size to which you want to print. The PDF option does not actually give you a resolution. You can change the scale, but PDF allows you to scale anyway because of its very nature. So we'll call up a PDF document. Again, this has already been saved. We're opening PDF in preview. When I zoom, I can zoom quite heavily here because it's PDF. It's going to be very good at scaling upward because that's what the portable document format does. I'll go back to that file to export again. The other options that are here may not be things that you necessarily use very often. Encapsulated PostScript is another high quality file type. Does not necessarily support well in some documents. These others follow along the same way. Scalable vector graphics and the enhanced meta format, you would probably want to explore those and find out whether or not their features are supported within the document that you're going to export to. So we will not spend any further time here, simply to know that they take you into the other formats. If you know what those formats are, then they're going to be useful to you. If you don't, then you'd need to spend extra time getting familiar with those types of graphic objects anyway. Going back to our export options. The next one we have is Drawing Pad as PS Tricks. This is again a PostScript structure. There's a lot of options available here, but again, this falls under a very advanced category. If you're going to use these PostScript features, you would need to make sure that they're going to work with the application that you want to work with. In general, the PNG files and the PDF files work very well with a lot of applications such as Word, such as AppleWorks, PowerPoint, and a lot of other applications that would commonly be used. When you get into more advanced applications, that's when some of these other file types would be useful to you. The last thing we have is the drawing pad to the clipboard. What this is supposed to do is put your object onto the clipboard and then allow you to paste that object into an application such as PowerPoint or a word processor or a drawing program or an image manipulation program such as let's say Photoshop or Acorn or something of that nature. There is apparently a glitch in the GeoGebra program. It does not always save correctly. I will call up a file that has saved correctly. This is a Word document. This was done with the Save to Clipboard feature, and it pasted in properly. Although this paste is very successful and works fine, occasionally when you paste into a document, and this has worked on PowerPoint, it has worked on AppleWorks, and has worked in Word incorrectly actually, the image that you get ends up being very diagonally skewed. Should this happen, just be aware that you haven't done anything wrong. It's just a glitch that has yet to be corrected. Should it happen, the simplest thing is to simply use your PNG format instead, or some other of the formats that does work.